Welcome back to the locker room, ladies and gentlemen. You got the Sunday Chirps crew here, plus the one and only Jonny Lazarus, former Minuteman, current Blue Crew Hockey Pod, Morning Cup of Hockey Pod, current doing some color commentary for NCAA Puck, writer for the New York Rangers, and does some stuff with Bleacher Report. So, hey, how are you, man?
Sylv, is that written down on paper, or you're just going through my LinkedIn?
No, I got some notes here.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, boys. I appreciate it. I know it's been a little overdue, I guess, right? I think we've been talking for a couple months here, so happy to finally be on. I appreciate you guys carving out the time for me.
Thanks, of course, man. You know, I'm jumped right from the office to here, so we're dedicated.
Yeah, you and Jared are both dressed up. Kenny looks like a schlub over there.
Oh, come on. Oh, damn.
That's the usual.
Early. Oh, my God. But you actually have grown quite a bit of following since we first touched, like, on Instagram. Like, you've almost doubled, I want to say, in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram was never, like, really a platform that I've tried to grow on, to be honest. You know, I've only always cared about Twitter. Like, that was really, like, my bread and butter. But I guess like through doing the shows and stuff, and now it's very popular for people to like post tweets and like put a picture behind it. So that's kind of helped my Instagram a lot. Like I know like sometimes Bar Down takes some of my stuff from Twitter and puts it on their Instagram, and then the followers come in through that and Bleacher Report and you know, Daily Faceoff and stuff. But I wouldn't say I put like an effort into growing my Instagram. But yeah, it's nice that the following's there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, I mean, what you been up to the last weekend? Saw like a couple Morning Cup of pods come out. The Blue Crew had the boys snap it around a bit. So what you been up to otherwise?
Blue Crew's pretty much on hiatus just because there's nothing really to talk about. Right. You know, we still text every day and stuff, but like if we hopped on a podcast and talked about the Rangers, like it all would just be like hypothetical bullshit nonsense, which I personally like don't love. You know, it's fun and it's entertaining sometimes when it's actually realistic, but just to make conversation, you know, it's not really my thing. But Morning Cup of Hockey, we're doing one every week, which has been a lot of fun. Like this week we had Dylan Strome, you know, talking to a couple of different guys, trying to get, you know, them on board for the summer. Obviously it's a little bit harder during the regular season to get guys to come on, just because the schedules are so busy and whatnot. But honestly, this summer has been like weird. Like I feel like it's basically over already, but I feel like it's also just beginning. I mean, I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 28. So like my next 3 weekends in a row are all weddings. Like I got a wedding in Long Island this weekend, Chicago next weekend, and the city the weekend after. Like I am in that age where, you know, I only had like going into the summer, I had one weekend where I literally had no plans. Like everything else is pretty much booked out, which is fucking crazy. So, you know, it's been an interesting summer. It's been kind of a boring summer. I don't know. It's just been quiet, it feels like. You guys?
Yeah, I mean, you know, quiet's always good. We're all young 20s. I'm 21, so I still got a year left of school here. But
still in school?
I agree.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm about to be a senior, so I mean, holding on to the last little bit.
What school?
Miami, Ohio. So
nice.
Yeah, you guys ever played them back in your day, or?
So when I was at Mercyhurst, I played at UMass my freshman sophomore year, Mercyhurst my junior senior year. But we played Miami when I was still like redshirting. I wasn't allowed to play.
Okay.
But it was in like some icebreaker tournament. But I had like 2 or 3 friends play at Miami, Ohio. One of my best friends played there, Ben Lown. He's much older than you. I don't know if you know him, but Phil Nyes, Matthew Nyes' brother, played there as well.
Okay, cool.
And this kid,
I mean, that's a sweet barn we have there. So
yeah,
I mean,
I've never been.
You guys,
but...
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I played club my freshman year, and it's similar to Notre Dame. It's the same floor plan, but Notre Dame's a little bit bigger.
That school's a hidden gem, though. People, it's a fun party.
Dude,
school
it is.
People don't really know about.
It's a sleeper. That's for sure. Can't wait to get back. I got another couple weeks, but no, dude, the summer's been flying by though. I mean, like you said, I mean, just like I'm working, so you know, I'm in the real world now, and you know, it's awesome, but it sucks at the same time, right? But yeah, it's flying by. It feels like we just started.
Yeah, I mean, after July 4th, I always feel like summer is just like it flies.
Yeah. There's nothing to look forward to after that.
Yeah, I mean, August is like my least favorite month of the year. So I'm not too excited for next week. But then after that, like September to me is like the best. I love September. Like to me, September and April are like the 2 best months of the year because like everything good is like right there. Like football season starting, the fall is amazing. Like in New York, the Long Beach guys kind of know it around here. But and then April, obviously, the spring in New York is also fun too, especially when the Knicks and the Rangers are in the playoffs and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm jealous. Senior year of college is a lot of fun. So, you got a fun year ahead of you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
So where did you play growing up? Like, because I know, I mean, you went off to juniors in college, but like when you were young, where were you playing around the island?
I mean, honestly, Jared, I was a late bloomer. So I played I started ice hockey in like kindergarten, but then I quit because my best friend quit. Like I wasn't, so like, my parents didn't really know much about hockey. And I played roller till like 5th grade. And then in 5th grade, I started playing ice again for the Long Island Edge out in Port Washington. So
no way.
Yeah, I played for them till like 9th grade, which was double A.
Played them a bunch growing up, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a very popular youth hockey organization on Long Island. I feel like everyone kind of gets their start there for whatever reason. But it's double A hockey. So I played there till like 9th grade, and then I made the jump to triple A, and then from there I kind of just bounced around like every year. So I played Long Island Royals, then Long Island Gulls the year after, then this team called the Metro Moose the year after in Brooklyn. And then my senior year of high school, I played with the New Jersey Rockets in Newark, which was attached to the Prudential Center. And then from there, played 2 years of junior in Texas, and then TMS. So I bounced around a lot of teams like every year.
We honestly probably overlapped. When you played Metro Moose, I was playing Aviator probably the same time.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think
that was 12, 13 that year.
Okay, so I was in Brooklyn then too. I was playing a little bit younger. I played there I played there Pee-wee, my first year Pee-wee, my second year Pee-wee, and first year Bantam. And honestly, Pinto was on the other team we used to skate with. I played with him back in Long Beach too, my first year playing with Pinto. And then we both went to Aviator, like just randomly. And then he also got grabbed by, what was the prep school he went to?
South Kent.
South Kent. Yeah, they grabbed him and Aviator played them in like a scrimmage, and they're like, yo, like come play for us in South Kent. The rest is history.
Yep. He's a good kid.
Yeah, really nice guy. Family too.
Out of those couple of AAA teams, what was your favorite? Because I played junior Rangers in high school, and we had our fair share of run-ins with the Gulls and Rockets for sure.
Honestly, the Gulls year was rough. We sucked. We played against. That was the year, you guys are younger than me, but you wouldn't know. Like, Pat LaFontaine was the head coach of the Royals that year. It was 16U, and they won the national championship that year. Like, they were nasty. Like, their best player was Justin Bailey, who's on the Sharks right now. He was sick that year. They had probably, 5 or 6 guys from that team go D1. Nick Hutchison's another one. His brother's Connor. You guys might know him. Connor Hutchinson. He's I think like an 01 birth year maybe.
That sounds so familiar.
But they were so good. Like we lost so many games that year. It was brutal. But like my favorite year on Long Island, I guess, 7th grade playing for the Edge. Like we won the state championship. It was sick. That was like honestly the only thing I've ever fucking won in my hockey career. I can't I haven't won shit. It's so funny because Colby and I are like the complete opposite of like hockey paths. Like we both he played pro, both played Division I, but like he had the overtime winning goal in the national championship for BU, and I like got scratched every night at UMass. So it's pretty funny our dynamic. But hockey was always, every year was fun in its own way. But on Long Island specifically, like that year, 7th grade year was just a lot of fun. But I'd say my favorite year of hockey ever was my second year junior in Texas because we were just so good and we went undefeated in the playoffs until the championship game. We got shut out for the first time all year and lost 2-0. Yeah,
that's brutal.
It was heartbreak, but it was still so fun. And that's when I committed. Like it was just everything was kind of going right for me that year, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man.
When you because I guess with the Kobe Cohen stuff, you had originally Cole texted him, LinkedIn messaged him.
LinkedIn.
No way. What made you pick Kobe over any other, or you just fired him out and Kobe got back to you?
I honestly, my senior year of college, I knew I was going to be done. I wanted to play maybe 1 year of try to make the East Coast League or something. My ceiling wasn't very high. I didn't put up good numbers in college. I'm sure you guys know that already. But
we got no stats, so you're ahead of us.
Yeah. I knew I wanted to stay involved in hockey, and my teammates had always told me I'd be a good media member. They always just said I can make it fun and bring out personalities and whatnot. I always just loved fake interviewing the guys. We always just would do fun our own like little post game shit, like as a joke.
Yeah.
But it like, it became a passion of mine when I redshirted. Like, the year I had between my sophomore and junior year where I couldn't travel with the team on the road, I couldn't play in games. Like I was very lost, like as a human being. Like I didn't know like what the hell I was doing to kill time. So that's when I like started a talk show on campus at Mercyhurst, which like led me to an internship with the Otters and stuff like that. And that's kind of how my media career just got started. But I'm blanking on what the original question was.
What made you think Kobe Cohen? I forgot.
Yeah. So senior year, when I knew I wanted to like pursue a media career after college, and granted, like my senior year actually ended up being COVID. Like I was a senior in 2020, so in March, like I left school and never went back, and everything was crazy. But I made it like a goal of mine to like message 10 people a week on LinkedIn in the hockey world, just like people that I would want to like pursue their career path. And I spoke to a lot of people, like ones that stand out are like Billy Jaffe, Dave Starman, Colby. Obviously we built a good relationship, but right from the jump, the first conversation we had, like Colby always kind of like, I don't want to say like was always like there for me, but anytime I needed something, he would be there, and almost like took me in as like a little brother. And that's kind of our dynamic on the show right now. So like when I started doing the color commentary, like Colby was someone who helped me a lot in that career path. Like he showed me how to make boards, which is like, essentially a cheat sheet of everyone's name, where they grew up, where they played, like little notes about them. And he was always just, a shoulder to lean on for me in the hockey world and in the media world, just because I didn't really have anyone to talk to. So I'm very lucky that Colby was there for me. And, it's pretty cool to see that we work together now after that initial, LinkedIn message 4 years ago.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I've been telling the guys LinkedIn is a great tool. I mean, I'll be sitting there just firing off connections to every blonde from my school, and it's been working pretty well so far. Those connections are up.
Everything's a dating app if you try hard enough.
Seriously is.
It's true. Probably better than like the actual apps, honestly.
Yeah, because you can see what they're studying, their work history. You can be like, oh, they're motivated, they're working hard. They're in finance, they're gonna be wealthy. That's awesome. Yeah, you connect and you're good.
You're a clown, Silva. You really are. Love it though.
Yeah,
Dave Starman is a Long Beach guy. I went to school with his son. He's actually named Jared as well.
Starman?
Yeah.
UMass guy, right? I think he was in the band at UMass, I think, right?
But I think UMass Lowell. I think the other UMass.
Amherst, yeah.
He was Amherst.
I think so. Sure. Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, he's a great guy, Dave. He coaches the junior team in Long Beach, which I have no idea if they're good or not. I think they're NA3, but as far low as they go in NA3, like just terrible as far as production. But
yeah, it is what it is.
Their first year, they were nasty. They had like all these Swedish guys and Finnish guys come in. But yeah, so I heard you had a funny story about you went to a junior camp, I think, like a tryout camp.
Who'd you hear this from?
It was, I think, a pod or an article you had. And you forgot your skates and then you had to borrow some for a tryout.
Yep.
How did that go down?
So my dad is like very OCD and like always kind of like every time we got home, I'd throw my hockey bag down and he would just like hang everything up, like take care of all my, like he literally took care of all my gear. Like didn't ask him to, he just did it. Like that's just how my dad is. It's funny. Like I was home this past weekend and I laid down on the couch. I got up for 2 minutes and my dad just like folded the blanket. I was like, I'm going right back in there. Like it's just kind of how he is. So I skated the night before this tryout. It was at like the Minnesota campus. It was for Sioux Falls for the Stampede in the USHL. Who like called me personally and invited me. They didn't draft me, but they reached out, called me, invited me to the camp, and like I thought I had a real shot at making it. And at that time, I was tendered with the Wichita Falls Wildcats in the NA, the team I ended up going to. But I guess we went to the air. I skated the night before, took my skates out to like let them dry or whatever. I guess I never threw them back in. I probably just thought my dad would do it. So we get on the plane and my dad's like sitting there next to me. He goes, your bag didn't like weigh as much. Like when you put it on the scale, he's like, did you forget something? And I was like, like I took my skates out last night. You didn't throw them back in? He goes, no. So then, right before we take off, he calls my sister and he's like, Jordan go to like UPS tomorrow and overnight his skates. Like, we're going to have to figure it out for the night, whatever. So we land in Minnesota. I call my coach, Bob Thornton, who coached me at the Rockets, and he was like, just tell him you got sick and don't even go. like literally said, go home. Like, don't even try skating and don't tell him you forgot your skates. It's already a big strike if you like go to a tryout and forget your skates. Like, what a fucking idiot, you know? So I was like, no, I'm here. I'm going to go. So I called the coaches. One of them was kind enough to let me use his skates that night. And I mean, you guys know, but like most people don't know. It's not like you're just borrowing someone's sneakers. Like, if you wear someone else's skates, like, it is a totally different ball game. And I have another story too. Like, my first UMass practice, my skates weren't ready yet. Like, you would order skates over the summer and they're supposed to be there on like day one of camp or day one of school. And my skates were late to show up. So again, I had to use someone else's skates. And like those 2 practices I had, like, were fucking terrible. So this tryout though, like, I literally couldn't move out there. Like, I looked probably horrible. And, you know, my coach, who actually, you know, I mentioned Pat LaFontaine, but my coach in junior was John LaFontaine, his brother. And he said to me, like, the first time I saw you skate, I was like, why the fuck did we tender this kid? Like, he sucks. like, I couldn't move. But then lucky enough, you know, skates showed up the next day. I played in games. Actually had a really good camp. I was like, you know, one of the last cuts, didn't make it, which sucks. But Sioux Falls actually ended up winning the Clark Cup that year. So I guess they made the right choice. Yeah.
That'll win your chip right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been the one thing I would have won.
Well, you won the state championship. Didn't you say you had 7th grade, like 12 years?
Yeah, 7th grade. Yeah.
So I got the same thing.
Double A New York State championship. Pretty sick.
Let's not count that out.
Yeah, pretty sick. I've won a lot of men's league championships since, though. So
fucking right.
Some may argue that's the real dream right there.
Everyone ends up there eventually. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Are you in the Island Ice League or are you in the one in the city?
I was playing on a team in Chelsea Pier, but during the season, it's hard to make the games because I'm always like, you know, usually at a Ranger game or on the road or whatever. So my teammates like kicked me off. they're like, we'll invite you when we need a guy, but like you literally showed up to 2 out of like 10 games. And I was like, all right, fair enough. It saves me money anyway. But I actually play a lot of roller. So I had a roller hockey game tonight actually in Jersey City. And I play in the Brooklyn League too in Dumbo, which is sick. So the rink is like right on the water with the skyline right behind it. It's unreal.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I take the ferry over with my bag. It's great vibe. But no, I don't play on Long Island much anymore. I live in Brooklyn right now. I'm moving into Manhattan in October, so it's just hard to get onto the island. But I am actually playing, I think, Sunday night in the Superior League because I'll be home this weekend. And I'm friendly with Zach Hahn. If you guys know Zach, I think he's like probably around your age. He was a freshman at UNH this past year.
Don't think I know.
Played Junior Islanders, but became pretty friendly with him, and he invited me to play on their men's league team. So I'm going out Sunday night, 8:40 at Superior.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'll be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. They're gonna show me up though. It's all these kids that still play hockey. Like I'm gonna look like an idiot out there.
Yeah, it's always fun. Like that first summer back, you know, you're going to stick and puck or just a training session with your regular coach that you train with. And, you know, you get all these like seniors in high school just playing 10 times better than you because, you know, they haven't been drinking beer for the past 6 months and like playing once a week.
It goes away quick. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's surprising. Yeah.
My accuracy has just plummeted. Like the slap shots are just all over. Like I took one in sticks and pucks yesterday. And I just shattered the glass on the new Long Beach boards. I'm like,
actually,
yeah.
Glass?
This has happened twice this year. I went to Jacksonville to visit my aunt. And I was like, I had my gear in my bag, so I just went to a sticks and pucks, smashed the glass.
What do you mean you went to Jacksonville to visit your aunt and just like had your gear? What is that? What do you mean?
I was living in Fort Lauderdale. Like,
Yeah,
if I'm driving,
gear on me.
if I'm driving somewhere, like I'll put the hockey gear and the golf clubs. In the car.
Fair. Okay, you drove. All
yeah,
right.
I was living in Fort Lauderdale at the time, so I was driving up. I was like, I'll bring my gear in case I could skate. So I skated. I was alone on the ice, and I couldn't even blame anyone else because there's no one else that sticks and pucks. Mm-hmm. But this time, little kids are like, "Dude, that's so cool!" And I'm like, "Fuck, like this is good."
You know,
someone's gonna pay for that.
Yeah, I did. I broke the glass once at this tryout for like mites, and you know these kids are going through the drill. They suck. I'm showing them how to. No. I was showing them how to do the drill. Oh no, that'd be nuts.
I thought you were a mite too. I was like,
no, that would just be a complete lie. So I'm showing these kids how to do the drill, and one kid hits the post. I just shot his rebound. hit the bottom corner of the glass, whole thing shatters. And one of the kids who shot it right before me thought it was him, but I mean, his puck didn't even go off the ice, so I don't really know what he thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. Tryouts were ended early that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Going back though, like when you were before, like this is kind of recent. You're big, like being a big NHL guy now. Not fan, but like that you have a big role, and I'd say like the analysts and commentating and all these new opportunities they've been presented. Didn't you? I heard that you got some call to be Bob Menery's assistant or something along those lines.
Did your homework, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, honestly, like my career path, like people always ask me for advice, and I'm like, I try to just tell them what I've done, but I don't have like some direct path. Like, I told you guys before I graduated in COVID, so 2020, I was, living with my parents, collecting unemployment, couldn't find a job, like most people. And I'm friendly with Bob Menery's manager. I know them from like growing up. And they knew I was a big fan. Like I actually loved listening to his podcast at the time. I think it was called like
Zapped.
Yeah, Zapped.
Yeah, that was a good pod.
With Timmy. It was like Bob and Timmy, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm blanking on like Timmy's last name, and he's the nicest guy in the world too. But either way, so like they knew I was a fan, and I guess you guys are all familiar with that world. Steiny had like just been kind of like transitioning into the Nelk Boys.
I was going to ask about that if you cross paths with him at all, because he's huge now.
He was like training me to be Bob's assistant. So
that's pretty sick.
I went to LA for like 2 weeks, like with my girlfriend at the time, like on a trip. I got home, and 2 days later, they were like, "Hey, do you want to move out to LA and be Bob Menery's assistant?" And I was like, "Yes, definitely. Like, yeah, I'm down."
Yeah.
Didn't ask any detail. Like, didn't find a place to live. Like, I had friends out there. I knew I'd be fine. I knew I'd have a couch to sleep on. So I literally typical movie script kind of shit. Packed a bag, moved to LA, and couch surfed for basically like 3 months. But yeah, Steiny was like super kind to me. Trying to help me with everything that Bob does. It was a hard job, and it wasn't like a steady job. Like, the way I got paid was like Bob just like handed me his card to go to the ATM and take out $1,000. Like that's, that was like really, it wasn't like a real, it wasn't like a real job. Yeah, there was nothing. But like, again,
it was simply a tax write-off at that point.
But he paid for a lot of my stuff. Like he treated me nicely and everything. But yeah, that's kind of actually how I started my relationship like with the NHL. Because I had gotten in touch with Steve Mayer, who's the chief content officer of the NHL, who was a fan of Bob's. Like thought Bob was really funny, and I was like, hey, like I think Bob is a good personality to make something happen here with the league. And that's how I started talking to him. That's how he knew my name. And then Bob like moved to Arizona and stopped doing his podcast, and that's when I like moved home. He basically told me like I don't have a job for you. Like he actually told me, or like he actually said on the Zap podcast like the week after that, like I went home. He's like, yeah, that guy was just like too bro-y for me. I was like, I don't even know if that was like an insult or not. I was like, all right, whatever, fuck it. Like,
take it as a compliment, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. So yeah, I lost that job, and then, I mean, my first actual job was in music, which is wild. But yeah, this just back to the original question, I guess. That was like 2021. So this whole thing has really happened like very quickly. My first NHL like gig, Paul Vinciguerra, a producer at the NHL, DM'd me actually, full circle, reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Sweet.
And said like, hey, we have this new YouTube show we're doing called The Third Period Live. It was for the 2022 conference final. And, low budget show, just them trying out their YouTube channel for the first time. They'd never really done YouTube stuff. And, I was a local kid. Rangers were in it. So like gave me some sort of, I guess. And, from there, like everything kind of just took off.
That's unreal.
That's cool.
That's crazy. I mean, it's, I was thinking about this kind of on my drive home today because a couple weeks ago, Jared was playing some golf, and Garrett Clark was behind him on the course, and they were talking before the round, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like this is what I'm doing right now with Sunday Trips, and it's cool to like see everything you've done because he's there with like 15 camera guys, his whole crew and whatnot, and like obviously you're still young in your career, but it's kind of cool. It's cool to have you on here and kind of like see the trajectory of where we could go pretty quickly with it. So."
I gotta be honest, guys. I just looked him up. I don't know who Garrett Clark is.
Good golf. You're not a golf guy, like
not a golf guy.
He's
anti.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to I just got to be. I was like, oh, it sounds familiar, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, he big golf influencer.
I don't mean to downplay it.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah. No. I mean, that would be like someone who's not into. It's like talking about someone in like some sort of industry that's huge. Like if I'm
a pickleball guy, not a golf guy. Pickleball. Golf fucking sucks.
Yeah, wait. I saw you and Dan Powers going at it about golf, and you're anti-golf. You're like big pickleball. What's with what's the hate on golf?
Honestly, I just it takes way too long. Like it's just such a long commitment of a day to like go out there for 5 hours. Like, granted, I suck at it, so that doesn't make it any better.
It's definitely a lot more fun when you're better. So
if you're good, like I go out there and I lose 10 balls and I shoot 120, like it's not a great day for me. You know,
no.
Pickleball, I play for 2 hours, I get a great sweat, and I feel like I've accomplished a lot. You know,
I feel that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
There's this massive pickleball set up like 2 blocks from
Dude, I've seen it in Chicago. It's sick. Like the 5 courts.
It's awesome. Yeah, there's a ton of courts. Then they have a Wimbledon style court, like right in the middle. There's a couple bars like in the facility itself. There's this big like beer pong with like soccer balls and trash cans.
I'm trying to go there next Thursday. Yeah, it's sick.
Dude, go. It's awesome. I'm like right there. It's sick.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
I want to switch back. I don't know if this has been brought up before, but I think it was an article you put out on your personal page a couple of years ago about quarantining with your girlfriend and her friends. We don't talk about it.
I haven't talked about this in a long time.
We could skip if you don't want to.
No, I don't care. Yeah, it's fair game.
What was that?
So,
what was that like?
And more specifically, what prompted the matching PJs with your girlfriend?
So it was.
I respect it.
Yeah. So the article, was funny. Like, so 2020. My girlfriend at the time. I'm single now, so this is my ex-girlfriend. And she had gone to the University of Florida. We were dating for probably like a year, maybe 2 years at that time. And I was never able to visit her because of my hockey schedule. So she had come to visit me at school like 3 or 4 times. So when COVID happened, it was like a 2-week break from school. And I was like, you know what? I actually had a plane ticket booked to Florida because I was going to play for the Pensacola Ice Flyers in the SPHL. That was like where I signed after my senior year. So I was like going to Florida anyway. And I just had them change the ticket to Gainesville. And I was like, you know what? I'll go see her for 2 weeks and I'll come back and figure it out. Like, dude, no one knew that COVID would become what it was.
Yeah.
So I went there and kind of just got stuck there. Like, because New York was, kind of like post-apocalypse at the time with COVID. Like everyone was cleaning off their groceries. Like it was a madhouse. And my dad's diabetic, so like I couldn't really like go home after being in Florida and like risk getting him. Like everyone was terrified. Plus, like she had her car at school, so I was like, you know what? I'll ride out the rest of senior year with you at Florida, and we'll drive home to New York together. Like it was like a nice, thing. But again, like. The girls actually were very smart because, a lot of girls and their friends had like picked up from school and went home, but Florida was pretty open. So like we had I didn't wear a mask until like June, because Florida just like wasn't really like that. So we ended up staying at UF for 7 weeks, like since I got there, and it was hilarious. Like I honestly. When I was in it, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. But like looking back on it, it was pretty fun. Like there was a lot of just things that you learn about groups of girls and they learned about me. And, obviously I wrote a fun little story on it because like all my friends were like, oh my God, like you're living with 7 girls. Like how cool is that? Like you must be seeing all them naked and shit. And I was like, dude, it's like actually like quite the opposite. Like I'm basically like, I'm living with 7 sisters essentially, even my like me and my ex-girlfriend at the time, we were laughing like we weren't even like we would fight, and it wasn't even like we were fighting as a couple. We were fighting as like a brother and sister would, because we were like roommates. Yeah, with the 6 other girls. But there were a lot of fun nights too. Like it was hilarious. The whole thing was great. And the PJs, her birthday was April 1st. I didn't buy those pajamas. I just like her and her other roommate had the matching pair. So I said to her roommate, I was like, should I throw on the pajamas like and surprise her? And I threw them on, and then she put them on, and it was a whole thing. But
that's a good boyfriend right there.
Yeah, it was a nice play. It was a nice play.
Yeah, I
celebrated my birthday there. It was fun. It was good stuff.
That's a good time. I remember Jared. He sent us a picture and was like, all right, who's bringing it up?
Yeah. And, is that article still on my LinkedIn? I know it was on my LinkedIn. Yes. That was actually like the first thing I ever really wrote and published publicly. Do you guys know I went on a Vancouver TSN radio show to talk about that? Like after I wrote it, because there was nothing going on in the world. People were dying for news. So they said like former college hockey player lives with 7 girls, like in quarantine. Like it was like a crazy thing. It was hilarious.
The TSN point is Jonny Lazarus in pajamas.
Yeah, dude. I actually was on a hike once, like in Cold Spring Harbor. The Cold Spring Harbor, it's like a popular Long Island hike. And this like married couple stopped me and Ellie, and we're like, "Are you guys the quarantine couple?" And I was like, "Yeah." So funny.
That's unreal. You have a hard stop in what, 5 minutes?
Like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just want to do that. How'd you get so close with the Netter guys? Just from being at these NHL events, or on Twitter, or just combination?
Well, so I was doing Stanley Cup Central for the league last playoffs in 2023, and they came on as guests, and I was like, damn, these guys are awesome. Like just talking to them. So funny enough, the Long Beach guys, Kenny and Jared, I didn't know who they were until Charlie McAvoy went on their show after the Winter Classic, because I was friends with Charlie from like growing up a little bit and playing together in the Rockets.
It's a good friend to have.
Yeah, he's the best. So I watched their show with Charlie, and I was like, oh, this is like a great interview. Like these guys seem cool. Like I didn't know much about them. So they came on our show with the NHL, and then at Stanley Cup Final Media Day, I met them in person in Vegas, and then they were 2 dudes around my age, similar vibes, and we just hung out like the whole Stanley Cup Final, like literally 2 weeks straight, and we just became boys pretty much. But it was funny, like we did a show. I went on their show the day after Vegas won the cup, and like we went our separate ways, flew home, and we said after, like, it feels like we're leaving summer camp. Like you make friends, and you just leave. But yeah, that's how I got tight with Dan and Chris. Those guys are awesome.
They seem like the best. And you were actually working full time still then, right? You took like PTO to do that.
Oh
right?
Yeah. So I went out with them till 6 a.m. with Eichel and Colasar. Was it Colasar? Haig and Colasar maybe. And flew home the next day at noon. Got home probably to New York at like 7 o'clock. Next morning, I was at my office working my normal job.
That's nuts, dude. You're like the hockey. You're like the John Summit of hockey with that play.
People have said, or my friends used to say, like Hannah Montana of hockey.
Yeah. Hey, either works.
I like that one.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, I actually though, I just started doing like a side hustle job, like more corporate-y. Because I do like miss that part of being like I didn't hate working, but I felt like I had to quit at that time to just kind of pursue hockey all in, because I didn't it was I was going to my office 9 to 5, then I was going right to the Garden to cover a playoff game, and I was basically working 9 to 10 every day. Like it was a lot, so took a little pay cut to try it, but it was definitely worth it. It was the right move for me at the time.
That's unreal.
Quick question. So obviously you've interviewed a lot of people, stuff like that. Has there been an interview that has kind of like went south or has just been awkward? Obviously you don't have to say names, but
yeah. I always find this question interesting because I've asked it too, and it's like, fuck, like this guy's not gonna like rat somebody out. Like not that
I know. It's a tough question.
I don't think I've had one that like went south, but I've definitely had some that I expected more of.
Okay.
And actually, you know what? In my experience, like the guys that I know less about are always more fun because I actually feel like I learn about them like through the interview. And honestly, I'm not. This is not advice at all, but I used to like over prepare and kind of like have this expectation of where the interview is going to go when I'm doing it. And I stopped doing that because like it would throw me off if the conversation steered a different way. And I'm a guy who likes to think on my feet. But like when I had all these talking points that I wanted to cover, like written down, I was like, fuck, I gotta get to this, I gotta get to that, I gotta get to that. You know, so I don't want to say I underprepare now, but instead of like having full on like questions prepared, I just have like little notes that I'd like to hit on. But to answer your question, I don't have like, I don't think I have one that like really was like, oh man, that was like terrible, you know? But I definitely have some where like I expected more out of what I was, you know, the person I was talking to that like didn't hit as hard as I wish it would have.
So what about like the other way around? One you didn't really think would go like the way you want, or, you know, if it went better than you thought.
So do you guys know who Ariel Helwani is?
Is she with FanDuel?
It's a guy, big UFC reporter, ESPN.
Look at a miss. Never mind.
That's a huge miss. That's a Carlos Beltran staring at strike three. It's the only baseball reference I could pull out of my ass. But so Ariel Helwani is like probably the biggest like MMA UFC reporter for ESPN. Does a lot of good podcasts. I don't know anything about UFC. But I interviewed him. I interviewed him like 4 years ago because my co-host on the show I was doing at the time was like his biggest fan. So he's like, let's get Ariel Helwani on. Like, he's the man. He's a really cool guy. And I told him straight up, first question in the interview, I was like, I don't know shit about this sport. Convinced me to like it. And he like respected that honesty. And since then, we've actually built like a pretty nice friendship. Because he is just like the sweetest guy on the planet. He's from Montreal, a big Canadiens fan, big Knicks fan as well, loves basketball. So like we bond over the Knicks and stuff. But, you know, that was one where I knew nothing about this guy, zero about what he even like did as a job. And I came out of it like loving it.
That's cool.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
I got one last thing because I think we got to go soon.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before. Sylv and I got pretty heated about this. And I'm sorry if my dog sounds like a tea kettle right now. Perfect. We were talking Igor. He's got 1 year left of his contract. I know you're not a huge hypotheticals guy, but is there a world?
This is realistic, though.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what you're gonna ask, but yeah, go ahead.
Is there a world where you would offer him, put him on the trade block as a trade option?
No.
Thank you for agreeing.
I was saying
on that. I was yelling at Jared on the phone earlier.
Not one.
Because he was like, dude, like, I mean, Igor, you know, trading him for this, and this. I'm like, dude, Igor's a generational talent, someone we haven't seen since, you know, a Brodeur or a Lundqvist. Like, you don't just give that away. You ride that out. You pay him. He has this. You say, we'll double it. Like, you're not giving this guy up.
You're saying there's no way. Like, you're not going like I was pitching him like somewhat realistic ones. Like, I was like, even just McDavid. You wouldn't even sniff out a McDavid for Igor trade. He was saying
because I think
that's a different story.
That's what I'm saying. There's some super high ones, like McDavid is someone I would trade for. Like, you're telling me Pasta and Swayman, you wouldn't trade for Igor? Like, that combo.
Igor for Pasta and Swayman, yes, I do that in a heartbeat.
That's what I'm saying. There are trades. They're just not going out.
But that's not. But Boston's not.
But no one's doing that. Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't go Igor for McDavid one off. I mean,
I would.
I would do that right now.
1,000% would. I think that's actually crazy that you wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. That was the argument we were on the phone with.
Listen, I think goaltending is important, but I think having the best player in the world is way more important.
Like, I mean, that's a good point for sure.
Maybe the best player ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that might be a hot take on my end, but
yeah, definitely a hot take. Maybe the only guy in the world who wouldn't trade Igor for McDavid.
I love him.
Yeah, but even like I think more realistic. I was pitching. I don't know. Like the Preds just made a whole bunch of moves. They locked up Saros. If like I'm gonna botch the last name Askarinen, like the guy they're bringing up from Askarov. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like you tell me Askarov. Like
tough one.
Like there's some sort of package with him. Like I could see like somewhat realistic, but they also have Saros, so they probably wouldn't trade for Igor. I don't know.
No. Definitely not. They also just extended Saros for I think like 8 years.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What? No.
I was saying, are they like a realistic like Stanley Cup contender now with that new roster with Stamkos?
I don't think it's. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible. You know, they actually had a really strong year last year, I thought, but for whatever reason, just could not score goals against Vancouver. I don't know what happened to their offense. They couldn't do it. And actually, like the game where I think they had like a 3-1 lead with like 2 minutes left and they lost in like overtime. That was like the biggest botched parlay of my life. Like I think that was the last leg on like a parlay that would have hit for like 10K and they lost. Yeah, like it was a crazy parlay I had. But no, I think like with Shesterkin, here's the thing. Like if you're trading him, realistically, you're not getting enough to like put you over the hump, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And maybe Jonathan Quick is the starter then, and like you bring up Dylan Garand from the minors, but like that's not a sure thing. Like the only sure thing the Rangers have right now is Igor. Like he's the only guy that he's going to show up. I mean, maybe Vinny Trocheck too, because the playoff he had, but for the last 3 years, aside from maybe that Pittsburgh series, Shesterkin has been unbelievable.
Yeah,
and and the way the
Pittsburgh
Rangers,
series, it's really just 2 games you're really looking at there.
Yeah. Those 2 games, the game 3 and game 4 in Pittsburgh, those are tough. But I just think when you have like I think Sylv said, when you have a talent like that, it's just, it's hard to give away when you don't know what the return would even really be.
For sure. But
it's too good for a reach to try and get something else.
I agree.
Yeah. I know you have to go in a second.
You got time for one more.
Oh, no, that's it. No, I was just saying, like, you see Stuart Skinner get far. Aiden Hill won the Cup 2 years ago. We've seen some.
All right, these are the arguments. Yeah, but Stuart Skinner has McDavid, Draisaitl, Evan Bouchard putting up 40 fucking points in the playoffs. And then Eichel pops off. Vegas has, like, the best blue line in the NHL. Like, these are – the Rangers don't have that. Like, it's a little harder and different, but
no, I agree.
If they traded for those right pieces, maybe like the Rangers' biggest problem right now is their blue line. Like I just don't think they're built out so strong on the blue line. Like if they found
a couple pieces there,
if they got some bigger solid defensemen maybe, and then found like a mediocre goalie, different story. But like until they get those if they trade Shesterkin for those kinds of defensemen, maybe.
No, definitely. But listen, we really appreciate you coming on, shooting the shit with the guys. Anything else you have before we let you go?
No, boys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Whatever you need, you guys let me know. And Sylv, if you want to get smacked in pickleball next week, hit me up and we'll play in Chicago.
That'll be my first time since playing in high school, but I'm game.
All right, let's do it, boys. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And
sounds good, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Later.